No, this right here. Salakia. We're gonna get started in just a second, Israel. My phone, that's gonna call that line. I'm gonna call the conference call, see if anybody online tuning in. Give me a second. I tell you. Put that. Do you see that pillowcase? That black pillowcase. Hey. Yeah, don't put it upside down. Bring it here.
That was an invalid entry. Please enter your PIN number. Thank you. Joining the conference now. You are currently the only person in this conference.
Okay, we're gonna get started, Israel. All right, Shalom Israel. This is the Israelite School of UPK. Start out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General. I'm not the officer of 500. Tonight is Monday night history class. And today we're going to get into how Israel became slaves in Egypt. You understand? Because if you don't know this, that was one of that event right there was like the focal point of history. You understand how we became slaves in Egypt, and on top of that, when we go into these scriptures, you're gonna be able to correlate exactly what happened to the Israelites during they slavery in Egypt to the slavery that we inside in America right now. You understand? They suffered a 400-year sentence. We suffering a 400-year sentence. Really more than 400 years. You know what I'm saying? 430 years, but it's the same thing. You're gonna see a lot of things that happened during their slavery is happening to Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians right now. You understand? And that's why it's so important to understand history and understand true history. Like you wanted to be an Egyptian and wanted to classify Osiris and all those different gods that the Egyptians worshipped as a god. It's not a real god. You understand? Let the ancient Kemetic people have their God, which would be the South Africans today. You understand? Let them have their God. Let the Asians worship Buddha. You understand? Let the Muhammad have. Let the East Indian. Not the East Indians. The Arabs have Muhammad and Allah. You know what I'm saying? Let them have their words because those are not real gods. You understand? Those are not real gods, and that's why when you go into history, you will see that when a society had different gods, if you had a god that you could not see, then they would look at you like you was crazy. You understand? They were like, man, how the hell you believe in a god that you can't see? You can't even touch. You understand? So back then, everybody made molten images and gods and idols with their hands and they worship it. But the nation of Israel, we didn't do that. Only time we did that is when we disobeyed God and we wanted to serve another nation. You understand? We wanted to make ourselves second class citizens. You understand? So yeah, we're gonna go on. That was a little sidebar, but we're gonna go into the history of how we became slaves in Egypt. You understand? Like I said, it's gonna be a lot of key points in here that you're gonna be able to correlate with the slavery that Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians are suffering and enduring to this day. You understand? So with that being said, we're gonna go into to Genesis 37. We're going to Genesis 37. Hold on, let me get one thing fast. We're gonna start at Genesis 37, but let me pull something right quick. You understand? We're gonna get let's get Romans chapter 15 and 4 right quick. We're gonna go to Romans chapter 15, verse 4. All right, Romans chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. You see that it said so for whatsoever things were written aforetime, meaning things that were written before, you understand, but before you was alive, things that the history that was written down before you was even thought of, you understand, was written for our learning. You understand? So everything that we read in this Bible, this is first off, this Bible is the records in the history of not only the earth, not only every nation, but it's the records in the history of so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians who are the true children and a nation of Israel, according to the Bible and according to history. You understand? This is our records. So it said these records that we read in this Bible today, you know what I'm saying, getting into Monday night history class, these records are written for our learning, man. You're supposed to learn from these records. You understand? So when we go into Genesis and we read about the slavery that we suffered under the Egyptians, which is the South Africans today, you, like I said, you're gonna be able to correlate this with everything that Black people are going to in America right now. And so I'm gonna read that one more time. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. What was written aforetime? What was written aforetime? This Bible was written aforetime. And guess what? It was written for our learning. You understand? Because if we didn't know that we suffered slavery from worshiping other gods, you understand? And in the future, we would not know to not worship another god, because that can be detrimental to our nation. We would worship other gods. But being that everything that good and bad that happened to the nation of Israel is written in this book, we know what to do and what not to do. You understand? We know that the Lord is against us when we serve other gods. So guess what? We ain't gonna do that. Because if we do, guess what's gonna happen? The Lord gonna put us in slavery. You understand? So it said things that was written before time is written for our learning. You understand? And it's good. Like what's that saying that they say? If you know history, you won't repeat it. Or some saying that they saying basically like if you know what happened in the future, you know, especially something horrific, you won't do the same thing to land you back in that situation. You understand? So yeah, we're gonna drop that and we're gonna go to Genesis, the 37th chapter. And we're gonna get into history. Understand? We can go to Genesis, the 37th chapter. Matter of fact, we can go to Genesis, the 35th chapter. Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, we might start at 37. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna start at 37. You know what I'm saying? And just to give you a brief like rerun of what's been happening up into Genesis 37. You know what I'm saying? You had Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But right before Jacob, you had Abraham and Isaac. Isaac had Jacob and Esau. You understand? The Lord gave his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob wrestled with the angel of God in a dream, and so he got his name changed from Jacob to Israel, which means Prince of the Power. Jacob went on to have 12 sons. You understand? What else? Esau thought that Jacob supplanted him and tricked him out of his birthright, so he wanted to kill Jacob. Jacob ended up moving and running and to go live with his mom's brother Laban. He ended up marrying his cousin, having children with him. That was saying with both his cousins, in which he produced the 12 tribes of Israel. You understand? Esau went on to marry some heathens and had children with them, and then ultimately they both became separate nations, even though they came from the same mom and dad. You understand? So that was just a little brief rerun. All right, so we can go to Genesis chapter 37, verse 1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bela and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children. So this is one of the reasons why we end up going into slavery. You understand? And it's not a bad thing for you to love one of your children more than the other one. You understand? It's not a bad thing that one of your children might be smarter than the other one, or one of them might be a better athlete than the other one. That's not a bad thing. But his children looked at that as like a bad thing. So we're gonna see what they did. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. And if you don't know, Joseph is the forefather of Manasseh and Ephraim. You understand? And he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. So when his brothers and so when the 12 tribes found that Jacob loved Joseph more than all of them, you know what I'm saying? They hated him for that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want to speak nothing good about him. They're like, man, to hell with you. Our dad like you more. He like you more than anybody. Who you think you is? Some prince? You know what I'm saying? They didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know how to have brotherhood. You understand? And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. So Joseph, he ended up having two dreams. Having a dream, and he told his brother the dreams, and his brother hated him even more. They was like, man, now this nigga is a seer, this nigga a prophet now. Oh man, hell no. Verse 7. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaf stood around about and made a obstinance to my sheaf. Meaning that he was gonna be he had a dream that he was gonna be above his brothers. You understand? At one point in time in history, he's going to be above his brothers. So let's see what his brothers say in response. And his brother said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. You know what I'm saying? So when Joseph told his brothers the dream that he had about his sheaf rising above his sheaf, his sheaf rising above their sheaf, and their sheaf being in obstinance, they was mad about that. And they told him, like, so what you think you supposed to rule over us? You gonna be a king over us or something? Who you think you is? You know what I'm saying? Stop having those dreams. Stop thinking your dreams mean something, because they don't. You understand? I'm gonna keep reading. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obstinance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hadst dreamed? Shall I and my mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? So he said, so he had another dream that the sun, that the moon and the stars bow down to him. And then he was like, and so he told his brother and his father like, man, what the hell? What did you have? You having all these different dreams? Like you think that me and your family gonna bow down to you? You understand? You think that you gonna rule over us? Is that what you think? And his father rebuked him. You know what I'm saying? Meaning he was like, man, to hell with that dream. You understand? We ain't listening to that. We ain't listening to that. You understand? It's just a dream, right? He says, shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? He says, shall me and your mother and your brethren bow down to you because you having these dreams? You know what I'm saying? Nuh-uh. Verse 11. And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying, and his brother went to feed their father's flock in Sheshach. And Israel said unto Joseph. So his brother after all this was done, his brother hated him. You understand? But even though his father rebuked him, he observed what he said. You understand? You know, it was some value to what he was dreaming. You understand? And it said, and his brethren envied him, but his father observed the same. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here I am. And he said unto him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. So he said, your brother and them are feeding the flock. You remember, Joseph was the youngest. You understand? Joseph was the youngest. So his dad said, your brother and them out there feeding the flock. So I'm gonna give you this order. You need to go check on them and see if they good, and you need to check and see if the flock good. You understand? Because anything can happen. So go check on your brother and them, and when you get done checking on them, come bring me word back of what's going on over there. All right. And he said it to him. Verse 15. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flock. So he ended up seeing a man in the field, and he asked the man, like, hey man, where my brother and them at? You understand? I'm supposed to be bringing word back to my dad on what's going on with them. You know where they feed their flock at? You know where they at? And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dathan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dathan. And when they had saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So after this man told Joseph where his brothers was, he was like, man, they're over there in Dathan. You know what I'm saying? Feeding the sheep and all that. And he's like, okay, so he went over to Dathan, and while he's walking up, they see each other from a distance, and his brothers see him walking from a distance coming to them, and they was like, you know what, man, we need to figure out a plan to get him up out of here. You understand? We need to find out, because we hate this nigga. You understand? Let's do something to him. That's what his brothers that's what it mean. They conspired against him. Like they was coming up with a plan to kill him. What it say? It said they conspired against him to slay him. So when they see him walking from afar off, they say, you know what? Let's come up with a plan that we can kill our brother, our youngest brother, and get away with it. Someone, we need to come up with a plan amongst each other to kill him and get him out the way. You understand? And they said to one another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. So basically, they said, so when they see him walking far off, they said, come, let us slay him. What did it say? Let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beasts have devoured him. They said, let us slay him and cast him into some pit. You understand? Let's kill our youngest brother, throw his body in a pit. Let's dig a pit, throw his body in there, and we're gonna say that a beast devoured him. We're gonna say a bear. You know what I'm saying? He was coming to meet us, and then we seen him, and I guess it was a bear or something that attacked him. We got there, and all we seen was he was dead, or a lion attacked him. That was their plan. You know what I'm saying? All because they hated their brother for the dreams he was having. All because they hated their brother for the father saying that he loved him more than all of them. You understand? So we're gonna keep reading. and cast him into some pit, and we will say, some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. So they said, after we kill him and throw him in the pit and tell our father that some beast devoured him, look, we gonna see what become of his dreams. Since he had his dreams that he gonna rule over us and everybody gonna bow down to him and he gonna be some type of king over us, we gonna see if his dreams is real. Cause we gonna kill him, you understand, and throw his body in the ditch, and we gonna show him that your dreams was false. You understand? Because that's never gonna happen. Okay, so verse 21. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. So Reuben, the older brother of the nation of Israel, he said, you know what? I hear what y'all saying, but we not finna kill him. You understand? We not finna kill our youngest brother. He said, we can do anything y'all want to do, but let's not kill him. We ain't got to take his life. You understand? We ain't got to take his life. 22. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So Reuben, being the older brother, having influence, he said, we ain't gonna shed no blood. Let's just cast him in this pit. Let's throw him in this pit in the wilderness, and we ain't gotta lay no hand on him. You know what I'm saying? And he said all this so that he might be able to bring his brother back to his father. You understand that? And that's a righteous thing to do, man. Especially when your siblings trying to kill you. He's like, man, we don't need to kill our brother. We can throw him in this pit. We can do whatever y'all want to do, but we ain't got to lay no hands on him and kill him, man. Come on, y'all. This is our brother. Well, come on. We really want to kill our brother over this simple stuff because of some dreams he having, because our father love him more? Nah, man, let's not do that. Let's not do that. So that was Reuben's reaction, right? Verse 23. And it came to pass when Joseph was come into his brethren that they stripped Joseph out of his coat, out of his coat of many colors that was on him. And so that same coat that the father gave him that had many colors on it, his brothers, when he finally walked up to his brothers stripped him, took his jacket, you know what I'm saying, took his coat. All right, we're gonna keep reading. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? You know what I'm saying? So even Judah was like, what profit? So basically, after they threw him in the pit, you understand, they looked and they seen some Ishmaelites. They seen some Arabs coming. You know what I'm saying? And the Arabs they was on camels, and they had spices, and they had balm and myrrh. They had all these goods that they was finna go take down to Egypt. And Judah said, what profit is we gonna get from killing our brother and then hiding it from our father? You understand? Hiding it from our mother. What good? What profit is we gonna get from doing that? You understand? So I'm gonna read some more. He said, come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content. So he said, okay, I know all y'all want to kill him. You know what I'm saying? Reuben said we shouldn't kill him. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, what the hell we gonna gain from killing our brother and hiding and trying to hide it from our mom and dad? You know what I'm saying? So instead of killing them, let's just sell them to the Arabs. Let's sell them to the Arabs. So that was Judah's wicked plan. That was wicked too. You know what I'm saying? That was just as bad as killing them. You understand? But we're gonna see how important this was in history, man. Them doing this wicked act, we're gonna see how important this was. You understand? And I'm gonna keep reading. What we got? 28, verse 28. It said, and his brethren were content. And when Judah said, let's just sell them to the Ishmaelites, his brothers was content. They was like, yeah, we with that. We can do that for sure. Yeah, we and you show right, because then at least we can get paid for it, because our plan before, we weren't gonna profit from that. At least we can get paid from this. Let's sell them to the Arabs. Right? So we're gonna keep reading. Then there passed by Midianite merchants, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. So after that, they didn't even sell him to the Arabs. Some Midianites came, merchants, and they took Joseph out the pit, and they sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. You know what I'm saying? For 20 pieces of silver. That's not even $2,000 in the ancient times. You understand? That ain't even $2,000. And they brought, and then so after they sold him to the Arabs, they took Joseph and they brought him to Egypt. You understand? What Ishmaelites was already on their way to. And verse 29. And Reuben returned into the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes, and he returned unto his brethren and said, "This child is not, and I, whither shall I go?" So when they went back to the pit, they try to go with Judah's plan on selling him to the Arabs. When Reuben, the oldest brother, got to the pit, Joseph was gone. There was nobody in the pit. So he ripped his clothes, meaning he was in sorrow. He like, man, what the hell happened? Where'd he go? You understand? We know he got kidnapped. What the hell happened? He's gone. You understand? So he said, and he returned to his brethren and said, "This child is not, and I, whither shall I go?" So he said, man, he ain't even there. Me, where the hell I'm gonna go? Where the hell I'm gonna go now? What the hell I'm gonna tell our father? You understand? In verse 31, and they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, "This have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or not." So they so evil. You understand? Instead of them going to look for their brother or chase them damn Arabs down to get their brother back, you know what I'm saying? They killed a kid, meaning that baby goat. They killed the baby goat. They took the coat that was given to Joseph from his father. They took that coat and they dipped it in the blood of the goat, like put blood all on it. And then they brought the coat back to their father. You understand? They was like, man, is this your son's coat? Let us know if this our brother's coat or not, because we found this coat. You know what I'm saying? Lying to their dad. You understand? And verse 33, and he knew it and said, "It is my son's coat, and evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces." So when their father seen the coat, the father like, "Yeah, that's my son's coat." He like, "Wow, man, if it's this bloody, that mean a bear had to get him. A lion, some big animal had to kill my son." You know what I'm saying? He said, "I know for a fact that he's shredded in pieces right now from this animal, and he's dead. I know for a fact." Verse 34, and Joseph rent his clothes and put sackcloth, and Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. So as our culture is to, when something bad happened or is going to happen, we rent our clothes and put ashes on us. You understand? And so he mourned for his son many. He thought his son was dead, so he mourned for him many days. That his youngest son that he loved more than all his children is dead. You understand? But so he thinks is dead. You understand? And verse 34, and Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I will go down into the grave until my son's mourning." Thus his father wept for him. So his sons and daughters tried to comfort him. Like, "It's gonna be all right, Dad. We know you loved him. He was our brother too. It's gonna be all right, Dad. You still got us." He was like, "Man, the hell with all that. My youngest son, man, who I loved. You know what I'm saying? Who I love, man, he's dead." You understand? He's like, "Man, I'm gonna mourn until I die." You understand? He said, "I'm gonna mourn until I die, man." Verse 36. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. So Joseph, he ended up going to Egypt, and he was sold into basically like a general in the Egyptians, under the Egyptians. You understand? Verse 38. Chapter 38. And it came to pass at the time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Haran. And Judah saw her daughter, a certain Canaanite, Okay, so then they start giving a breakdown of Judah marrying, having more than one wife and marrying all these wives and all that. So now we're gonna get back into what happened with Joseph. So far we already covered that Jacob had 12 sons. Joseph was the youngest. I'm saying Jacob loved Joseph more than all his children. You understand? And his brothers hated Joseph because their dad loved him more. Joseph had two dreams saying that basically he was going to rule over his brethren, even though he was the youngest. You understand? Because it's in our culture that the firstborn get the birthright. You understand? The firstborn get the birthright. He's in charge and all that. So Joseph being the youngest brother, they're like, man, what the hell are you talking about? You having these dreams saying that you're going to rule over us, man. You need to get up out of here with that. So they hated him for it. They hated him so much that when Joseph went to check on them, that they conspired a plan to slay him and take his life. So what they did was they threw him in a ditch, and they was like, you know what, instead of taking his life, we just gonna sell him to the Arabs. You understand? At least we can get some money for it. We're gonna sell him to the Arabs. So they put him in a pit, and while they conspiring, trying to come up with a plan on what they was gonna do with him, some Midianites came, they took him out the pit, and they brought him to Egypt, and they sold Joseph to the Egyptians. You understand? And so when the brothers went to the pit to try to get Joseph, they found out that he wasn't there no more. So they was like, oh, damn, then we need to figure out a way to cover this up because we know he was kidnapped. So they killed the goat, you know what I'm saying, that they was hurting. They dipped the coat that was given to Joseph from his father inside the goat's blood. And then they ran back, gave it to the coat to their father. And they said, is this our brother's coat? Only you know. And the father said, yeah, that's my brother's coat. And he was like, yeah, if that's his coat, which it is, I'm pretty sure he's dead. So then he said, you know, I'm going to mourn for the rest of my life for my son. I can't believe it. I loved him. You know what I'm saying? So now we're going to jump back into it, and we're going to see what's been going on. So let's let's go to 39. Yep, let's go to the verse chapter 39 Genesis. And Joseph brought down to Egypt in Pithra an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which have brought him down thither. So he ended up being bought from some Arabs by some Egyptians, right? Which is modern day. The Egyptians during this time that was standing in Egypt during the time that the Israelites was there were South Africans. They would be considered South Africans today. Nelson Mandela and anybody else is South African. Those was the people that was ruling Egypt. The people that you see in Egypt today are they moved in that land and during the time of Alexander the Great. They are white people and Arabs. You understand? Or in a mix between the two. They one of the two. You understand? But they're not the original Egyptians. The original Egyptians are Africans, South Africans. You understand? So it said that the Ishmaelites brought him down to Egypt, and one of the Egyptians bought him. You know what I'm saying? As a slave. Verse 39 and 2. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was prosperous, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. You understand? So during Joseph's time there, he began to grow up, and he was very prosperous and being in the house in the house of his master, the Egyptian. You understand? He was very prosperous in everything that he was doing in life. You understand? Because the Egyptian who bought him, it wasn't just a regular Egyptian. It was the Egyptian that was rich, that was directly under the Pharaoh. You understand? So let's keep reading. And the Lord was with Joseph the whole time he was there. The Lord was with Joseph, man, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of Salaki, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. You understand? Just like when you have when any nation has Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians in their house, you understand? They country prosper. You understand? Look at America. You got the true children of Israel, the biblical Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, according to the Bible. You understand? You got us as slaves in America, and guess what? America flourishes. You understand? You being a slave in America, that's what made America great. You understand? When you see people make America great again, and all that, they talking about put you back into slavery. You understand? And hard servitude. That's what they want you to go back to, being a slave. I mean, we still slaves, you understand? But they want you to be in full slaves, full subjection. You understand? Because they know that they benefited highly from that. Because not only are we smart, we industrial people. You understand? We what is it called? Agricultural people. We just completely smart all the way around the board. When you have us as a slave, your kingdom will thrive. You understand? Your kingdom will thrive. And this is something that the Egyptians knew back then as well. You understand? This is something that they knew. And not only that, they knew that they can get free labor from doing this, from have free inventions from doing this. Like, look at black people. We made the car. We made the what's it called? The street lights. You understand? We made the iron. I mean the iron. We made the refrigerator, the stove, the car, air conditioner. You know, so we made all these different things, but we don't benefit from none of it. You know why? Because we are in our slave master's house, just like Joseph was. You understand? Just like Joseph was. You know why we so smart, we able to do these things? Because the Lord is with us. You understand? The Lord is with us. How we able to accomplish the things that we've accomplished. You understand? Let's keep reading. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he do to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had put in his hand. And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. So he began to like grow favor in the sights of the Egyptians, in the sights of the Pharaoh. And as he began to grow and get their favor over time, you know what I'm saying, the Egyptian made him overseer over all his house. You understand? Meaning that he was, if you wanted something done, go to Joseph. He gonna get it done. You understand? Take whatever problems you have to Joseph. He's second in command. It was like that. You understand? And it came to pass from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. So just because Joseph was there, the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house. You understand? They began to be prosperous in things that they was doing only because Joseph was there. You understand? Only because he was sold into slavery, separated from his mom and father, separated from his brothers. You understand? At a young age. You understand? The Lord had to be with him, man. You understand? And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had to save his bread, which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So Joseph was a goodly person, man. He was a good brother, and he was well favored, not in the sights of everybody. You understand me? You know why? Because he was God's chosen people. You understand me? Keep reading. But he refused, verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Jacob, and she said, lie with me. So after all this, after he didn't gain favor in the sight of the Egyptians, after he didn't been like vice president over everything that the Pharaoh had in his house, you understand, Pharaoh's evil, wicked wife, you know what I'm saying, which is a stinking African, she wanted to sleep with Joseph. She cast her eyes upon him, meaning that she seen that he was highly favored and loved, and he was smart, and he's the reason why Egypt is what it is today. She said, you know what, I want to have sex with this man. I want to cheat on my husband and have sex with this man. So she cast her eye on him, and she said, you know what, come here, come have sex with me. You know what I'm saying? That's what she tried to do, have Joseph do. And verse 8, but he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wanteth not what is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he hath to my hand. There is none greater in the house than I, neither have he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So he said, man, look, your husband gave me everything. You understand? He made me he made me, you know what I'm saying? He gave me everything in his house, man. Treated me like a brother. Treated me like I was his own family. He know we ain't related. You understand? So how could I do this wicked thing and stab him in his back and sleep with his wife? He gave me everything besides you. How can I go behind his back and sleep with his wife? That's evil, man. Why would I do this evil thing in the sight of the Lord? You understand? And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So every day she's seeing Joseph and she begging him, please have sex with me. Please, let's just have sex. Please, let's have sex. And Joseph, he's ignoring her like, man, watch out, man. You tripping. You know what I'm saying? You tripping. I'm cool in life. You ain't finna mess that up for me. I'm cool, man. I don't want nothing to do with you. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within, and she caught him by the garment. So one day she like, you gotta remember, she pressing him every day. You know what I'm saying? She's consistently trying to get him to have sex with her. You understand? Consistently, he's turning her down. Watch out, left and right. Watch out. You tripping. So one day she catch him in the house trying to use the bathroom, like he had to pee or something. She catch him in the house and she grabbed him by the garment. And she grabbed him by his pants or grabbed him by his jacket or something, right? And when she was able to do this because there was nobody else in the house. You understand? I'm gonna read verse 12. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled and got out and got him out. So when he using the bathroom peeing, she walk up out of nowhere and grab all on him, telling him some lie with me. He ripped his coat from her and ran up out of there like, man, you tripping. I need to get up out this house. You know what I'm saying? So he left a piece of his garment in her hand. So let's see what happened. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see, he have brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came into me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. So just because Joseph wouldn't sleep with this heathen, sleep with this nasty, stinking South African, she called the guards of the house. She screamed, help. You know what I'm saying? Joseph just ran up out of here. Look, I got a piece of his garment. He tried to rape me. You know what I'm saying? He tried to rape. And so, like I said at the beginning of the class, when you read this Bible, man, especially during the slavery of the Israelites, the 400 years slavery that they suffered under the hands of the Egyptians, you're going to see that you can correlate that to exactly what's going on to Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians and the slavery that we suffering. You got to remember, when we've been enslaved for 400 years. If you don't know that, then you're not learning history. You understand? You don't know history, man, if you don't know that. And we've been suffering the same thing. How many Black men locked up in college right now? You understand? Because a white woman is drunk and decided she want to be a whore and she hollered rape. You understand? Or she lied because she wanted to get with a certain brother and call rape. We've seen it happen plenty of times. We've seen it happen with Kobe Bryant. We've seen it happen with Tupac. We see it all the time. It's a normal thing for you to live in your oppressor's house, just like Pharaoh. Just like Joseph, and their women want you, and you don't want them, and they holler rape. You understand? This happens so many times. So many Black men with life behind a white woman saying, or a oppressor woman saying that she was raped. You know what I'm saying? It happens so many. It's too often. And guess what? This same thing was going on during the slavery of the Israelites back then. And then if you don't know, like I said, Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians are the Israelites. You understand? So guess what? When you read stories like this about Joseph and all that, you read about your history. This is your history that happened to your people. You understand? That happened to you, because reincarnation is real. You understand? This is what happened to you. You know what I'm saying? You was getting lied on and falsely accused in every slavery you've been in. They've been lying and falsely accusing you, man. And the same thing happened with America, man. Keep going. And it came to pass when he heard that I had lifted up my voice. When he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. So she said, only until I lifted up my voice and cried for help, that's when he got off top of me and stopped trying to rape me, and he ran up out of here. And look, he left a piece of his garment. You understand? That's what she did, man. And it's so evil to lie like that, man. You understand? It's so evil to lie and say that somebody raped you. You understand? Especially if y'all ain't the same people. You know what's going to happen to this man? That's attempted murder. That's exactly what she did. Is called attempted murder, man. You understand? And verse 16. Oh, in verse 16, yeah. And she laid up his garment by her until the Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. So she waited till her husband got home. And when her husband got home, she said, you know what? You brought this Egyptian in this house and you trusted him. You gave him everything he ever wanted. He's rich. He's not even our people. And you brought him to my house. And you gave him everything he ever wanted. And guess what he did behind your back? He tried to rape me. And only until I cried very, very loud that he got on top of me and he ran up out of here. Look at his piece of garment that I got. Yeah, that's how I got his garment, because he tried to take his clothes off and rape me in here. And I screamed real loud like I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You need to handle him. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, she lying. Meanwhile, she full-blooded lying. She falsely accusing this man. And then you got to understand, this is the same spirit that your oppressor have. You know what I'm saying? They want to put drugs in your community and then call you the drug addict and call you the drug dealer. Well, meanwhile, they're really the drug. They the ones who did this. Never they lying on you. You understand? That just like for another situation, look what happened to Emmett Till. Emmett Till was walking with his friends. He's 14 years old, walking with his friends. You understand? And a white woman lie and say that Emmett Till whistled at her. Whistled at her. So guess what they did to him? Man, they kidnapped him in the middle of the night out of his house. They beat him, shot him, dragged him down the street behind a F-150 car or whatever Ford truck. You understand? Dragged him down the street, shot him up, beat him. You understand? And then they tied cinder blocks to his legs and threw him in the river. Like, he was beyond recognizable when they took him out that river. Why? All because a white woman lied and said that he whistled at her. And then came forward in 2012 or something, and you know what I'm saying, 2014, and said that I lied. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That never happened. That young man never. And it's been killing me that I stayed silent for 50 years. You know what I'm saying? And lied on this young black man and said he whistled at me. I'm sorry. Look what happened in Rosewood, Florida. You understand? They tried to say that a black man raped a white woman. But really what happened is that she was out being a slut and she got raped by other white men. You understand? And they didn't want to take it out on other white men. So what they do, they blame the black community. They came to our community, they shot everybody that was black on site. Burnt the whole city down. And Rosewood was a city, look it up. Rosewood was a city full of black people. Well, we was thriving. You understand? And they came through and they burnt the whole city down, all because they lied and said that a black man raped a white woman, and that never happened. You understand? It's the same thing going on with Joseph. So let's see what happened in Joseph's situation. You understand? And it came to pass when, let me see, verse 20. And Joseph's master took him, verse 19. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, after this manner did thy servant to me, that that his wrath was kindled. So after she got done telling her husband this, his wrath was kindled, meaning that he was super mad. You know what I'm saying? Bro, that's like you bringing somebody in your house, you let them stay with you rent free, they ain't got to eat nothing, and then they try to have sex with your wife when you at work or something. You like, hold on, what? You gonna be mad? You know what I'm saying? That's what happened with the Egyptian. The Pharaoh was mad at Joseph because he believed his wife. You understand? Verse 20. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, and a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. So after this ended up happening, he ended up putting him in prison because of this. He put him in the prison because of it, because he tried to rape his wife. And that's why you gotta understand, like the white woman, she's not innocent, man. She ain't innocent. She didn't commit crimes against Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians too. She the main reason why this white man even did half the things he did, because of her, on behalf of her. You understand? She's not innocent at all. She participated in slavery just as much as her husband did, man, with all her lies and deceits. You know what I'm saying? So, and what ended up happening to Joseph, they ended up putting him in slavery for what he allegedly did. All right, so we're gonna keep reading. Salakia. Salakia. All right. So he ended up getting put in prison, right? So let's keep reading. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So the Lord had mercy. And so he showed Joseph mercy, man, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper in prison. You understand? Like the guards in prison, he gave them sight in the favor of them. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him in that which he did, and the Lord made it to prosper. Verse 40. And it came to pass after these things that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them inward in the house of the captain of the guard into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. So what ended up happening is that the butler and the baker of Pharaoh, they ended up getting put in the same prison. You know what I'm saying? And that Joseph was in. The same people that was in the house of Joseph, the butler and the baker, they ended up getting put in prison for disrespecting the king or something, right? And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. And they continued a season inward. So they ended up being in prison a year, right? They're still in prison. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in the prison. So the butler and the baker, they both end up having dreams the same night. You know what I'm saying? They both end up having dreams, and the king of Egypt. And verse 6, and Joseph came in unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. So Joseph ended up coming in, and he seen the butler and the baker, and he noticed that they were sad. So he asked them, and he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him inward of the Lord's house, saying, wherefore look ye so sadly today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpretation of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me then, I pray thee. And the chief butler told him the dream, and told his dream to Joseph, and said unto him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me. So Joseph ended up walking in, he's seeing that they sad. And he said, why y'all so sad today? What's going on? They said, man, we had dreams, and ain't nobody here to interpret our dreams. And Joseph said, don't interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dream. What's going on? I'm a man of the Lord. Tell me your dream. And he said, and a vine was before me, and in this vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the cluster thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grape and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee unto thy palace, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, and after former manner when thou wast his butler. So he said, this is your dream. Your dream is that you're gonna be in here 3 more days, and then you're gonna go right back to Pharaoh's house, and you're gonna be able to serve him and be the greatest butler you could be. You know what I'm saying? That's the interpretation of your dreams. In verse 14, but think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, and I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. So he said that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna go back to Pharaoh's house, and you're gonna go back to being a butler and serving him and bringing him his drink. He said, but when you go, You understand? Make sure you remember me being in this prison with you and interpreting your dream. Make sure you remember me, please. He said, show kindness, I pray you. You know what I'm saying? Make mention of me. Like, man, bring me up to Pharaoh. You know what I'm saying? Let Pharaoh know that I'm in here and his wife lied on me. Let him know that, man. You understand? And then said, verse 15, for indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also have I done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. So he said, let him know that I was sold by some Arabs, you know what I'm saying, into Pharaoh's house, and to these South Africans out of the land of the Hebrews. I come from Canaan. You know what I'm saying? They kidnapped me and brought me to Egypt and sold me to Pharaoh. And said, let him know that. And see, he said, also let him know, what he say? I have done nothing that they should put me into the dungeon. He said, man, I ain't even did nothing, and they put me in this dungeon. I ain't trying to rape his wife. Why the hell they want to put me in prison? Why they want to put me in this dungeon? You know what I'm saying? So make sure when you get out of here in the next 3 days that you make mention of me. You understand? For interpreting your dream. Right? So verse 16, when the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head, and in the uttermost basket there was all the manner of baked meats of Pharaoh, and the bird did eat them, and out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the bird shall eat the flesh from off thee. So he said the interpretation of your dream is that Pharaoh's going to kill you. He going to cut your head off. He going to hang you on the tree, and the bird's going to eat you. That's the interpretation. And this is going to happen in 3 days. You know what I'm saying? Verse 20. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of all the chief baker among his servants. So, you understand, it came to pass that on the 3rd day, like Joseph said was going to happen, that Pharaoh ended up having a birthday. It was Pharaoh's birthday, and they ended up celebrating Pharaoh's birthday. And the butler, the butler of the chief baker, he ended up getting out of prison. And then also, just a little sidebar, this is how you know that celebrating birthdays is not an Israelite culture, because it just told you that it was Pharaoh's birthday and they celebrated. You understand? That's where the Romans got it from. That's where all these other nations got it from. They got it from Egypt. You understand? It's not an Israelite culture. If you Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, I don't care how many times you celebrated birthdays in your life, and you know what I'm saying, how many kids you got to celebrate their birthday. When you celebrate birthdays, the Lord hates you for that. You understand? The Lord hates you. The Lord that's actually in the Bible is not the God of the Christian church. You understand? The God of the Christian church is white supremacy. You understand? That's why they do everything contrary to the Bible. They do whatever they want to do in life. But the Bible said you cannot live like that. So you have to live in order with law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And it's for your protection. So yeah, when we see birthdays, man, it's not an Israelite culture. We don't celebrate birthdays. You understand? But I'm gonna keep reading. And he restored the chief butler into his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, and Joseph, as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So after the butler got out of prison, and you know what I'm saying, he was able to give Pharaoh his cup again and be the best butler he can be. You know what I'm saying? But the baker, he was hung on a tree, just like Joseph prophesied. He's gonna get hung on a tree. But guess what? The butler, he forgot. After he was able to serve the king again, he forgot all about Joseph. He forgot being in prison and all that. Give me some water. So he forgot everything about it, right? Verse 41. And it came to pass at the end of the 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And so he ended up being in prison. Put it in the red cup for me. Joseph ended up being in prison for another 2 years. And while he's in there in that 2 years, Pharaoh ended up having another dream. Pharaoh ended up having a dream, right? And it came to pass at the end of the 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed, and behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kind of fat fleshed, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kind came up after them out of the river, ill favored and lean fish fleshed, and stood by the other king upon the brink of the river. And the ill favored and lean fleshed king did eat up 7 well favored and fat king. So Pharaoh awoke. So Pharaoh had this dream about fish, right? Salakia. Right. So Pharaoh is having this dream. Let's see what's going on after that. And after he awoke, and he slept and dreamed a second time, and behold, seven ears of corn came up upon one stalk, a rank of good. And behold, 7 thin ears and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 and rank of full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. So Pharaoh, at the even end up having these 2 dreams, it troubled him. So he like, man, I need to know the interpretation of this dream because I know it means something. You know, so I know it means something. I need somebody to interpret his dream. So he ended up calling the magicians. Who else? Yeah, he ended up calling the magicians of Egypt, and all the wise men, everybody that was conscious, you understand, and woke and knew everything about everything. He called them, and guess what? They wasn't able to interpret that dream. They wasn't able to interpret the dream, man. You understand? Keep reading. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servant and put him inward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream in one night, and I and he, we dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, a Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard, and he told him an interpretation to us of dream. To each man according to his dream he did interpret. So when he see that when the butler who was once in prison with Pharaoh, who had ended up getting out, you understand? I mean, was once in prison with Joseph, who ended up getting out and going back to serve Pharaoh. When he seen that the Pharaoh was distraught and troubled from the dreams he was having, he said, "You know what? I remember. It was this Hebrew that was in prison with me when you had put me in prison, and me and the baker had dreams. You know what I'm saying? We had dreams, and this Hebrew was able to interpret those dreams, and he was right when he interpreted them. He said, I was gonna get out, and I got out. He said, you was gonna kill the baker, and you killed the baker. It was a Hebrew in prison. I remember the same Hebrew that stayed in this house. You understand? And we dreamed a dream in one night. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep reading. And he did interpret it. So we're gonna skip the page, go to the next page. It's 41 and 13. And it came to pass as he interpreted to us, so it was, meaning that as he interpreted our dreams for us, what he said was true. Me he restored into mine office, and him he hanged. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came into Pharaoh. You understand? So as you can see, man, all these people who think they conscious in the earth, you understand? All these people who think that they think all these highly things, you understand, about them being on some type of like high vibration, like they say nowadays. You understand? They are not wise men. You know what I'm saying? Because look, at Pharaoh, he grabbed all the wise men in his city. You know what I'm saying? His country. He grabbed all the wise men, all the magicians, and nobody was able to interpret this dream. You know why? Because the Lord wasn't dealing with them. You understand? You ain't, if you're not a black, Hispanic, Native American Indian, you're not an Israelite, you can't interpret dreams. And you definitely can't say it was the Lord, because with Psalms 147:19-20, the Lord said he don't deal with no nation that's not an Israelite. You understand? So, in other words, he don't deal with nobody that's not black, Hispanic, Native American Indian. That's the Bible. You understand? That is the Bible. So when you got people who do tarot cards and trying to tell your future, you got sisters who deal with those crystals and they light sage and all that talk, man, all that is garbage. All that is garbage, man. That's just something to do because everybody else doing it. That ain't finna help you, man. You understand? That ain't finna help you do nothing. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came into Pharaoh. So Joseph ended up getting out of prison. They ended up taking Joseph out of prison to bring him to Pharaoh. But what did he have to do? And this is just some of the little sidebar stuff to just point out. What did he have to do? He had to shave all his hair. It's the same thing when you at that job. They won't hire you because you got a beard. You understand? When the Lord say don't never shave your beard off. You can trim it down, but to shave it off with a razor, you can't do that. You understand? If you black, Hispanic, Native American, you can't do that. To get lineups, you can't do that. That is Egyptian culture. That's why it's mentioned in that right here. You know what I'm saying? That he had to shave because the Egyptians, they didn't like hair at all. You understand? That's why they used to shave all the hair off their body and wear wigs and wear makeup, put eyeliner on, and you know what I'm saying, mascara right here, whatever the hell they put right there. They used to do all that because they don't like hair on their body. They shave all the hair off their body and wear a wig. But in our culture, you ain't supposed to shave no hair. You understand? Especially not off your face and head. You understand? But he had to shave himself after he got out of prison. And Pharaoh said unto him, Salakia. Salakia, 1 second. All right. Let me keep reading. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine, fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And behold, 7. Oh yes, Lucky. And the lean and the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 fat kind. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them, but they were still ill-favored as at the beginning. So I woke. So he ended up telling Joseph his dream, right? And I saw in my dream, and behold, seven ears came up, and 1 stalk full of good. And behold, 7 ears withered thin and blasted with the east wind sprung up after them. And the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. And Joseph said it to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh said, and I told these 2 dreams to all my magicians and all of my wise men and all these brothers and sisters that worship Cyrus and Osiris and, you know what I'm saying, and Set and, you know what I'm saying, all that. And they wasn't able to interpret this dream for me. And Joseph said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. So he said, your dream is one. God showed you what he about to do, man. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and the 7 good years are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and the ill-favored kind that come up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to the Pharaoh. But God said, but God is about to do, he showed unto Pharaoh. So he said, God about to do this. You're going to have a famine for 7 years, and you're going to have good crops for 7 years. This is what the Lord about to do. Behold, there came 7 years of great and plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, and there shall rise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. So he said, man, you're gonna have a famine that's gonna consume the land. You understand? And it's gonna be you ain't gonna have nothing for 7 years, but you're gonna have a good 7 years as well. You understand? Let me see. Okay, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. So he said it's gonna be very bad. You understand? It's gonna be very bad, this famine. And Slakia. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh look out of a man's discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. You understand? So Pharaoh ended up saying, man, we need to put somebody wise over the land of Egypt, man. That's gonna do something wise, because we got a famine that's coming, and we gonna have 7 years of good crop, and then we're gonna have a famine right after it. You understand? So we need to do something. Now, therefore, Pharaoh, now therefore let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Verse 34, let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land in the seven plenteous years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said unto the servants, can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? So Pharaoh knew that Egypt was going to fall because of this famine. So he said, so Joseph told him everything he should do. He needs to store food for 7 years all throughout the city. You understand? So the city won't fall. And that's what he did. And he told him everything to do during this time. He said, you know what? Who can be wise? Who is like this man Joseph? And throughout all this land, nobody's like him, man. You understand? Even though my wife said that he tried to rape him and all that, hey man, nobody like this man. You understand? This man is smart. He interpreted my dreams. Y'all niggas good for nothing. Y'all in all these houses worshiping Amun-Ra and Set and Nefertiti and all that, man. Y'all, that's nothing, man. Because this nigga right here, this Hebrew interpreted my dreams. You understand? He told me what I need to do. All right. And he said, a man in whom the Spirit of God is. He said, you got the Spirit of God on you, man. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as have God showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. So he said, man, you so raw, you so smart, man. You gonna rule over everybody in Egypt. You understand? You damn near over me. Only reason why you ain't over me because I got the throne. You understand? But you should be king, man. You should be ruling this land. You know what to do. That's what he told Joseph, a Hebrew. You understand? And Pharaoh took off his ring. Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. So he took off his ring and he put it on Joseph. You understand? He took off the remnants, the fine linen that was on his neck, and he gave it to Joseph. He took off his gold chains and he gave it to Joseph. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him and bowed the knee, and he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And he ended up making him ruler of all the land of Egypt, man. Had the Egyptians bound down to him. Right? So we're going to keep on going. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. You understand? He said, I am Pharaoh. He said, and Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man, he said, without you shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. Meaning that if he don't give the command, nobody better not do nothing. You understand? You better not move if Joseph don't say do it. You understand? And Joseph called, and Pharaoh called Joseph Joseph named Zaphnath Pa'anah, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. And Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenty of years of the earth brought forth by handfuls, and he gathered all of the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food of the cities, the food of the field, which were found about every city, and laid them in the same. So, like he said, it was going to be a famine for 7 years. So he got all this food, all this plenteous food for 7 years. He got all this food, and he made sure he stored all this food, and he made sure he told everybody to store their food for 7 years, all their crops, all their seeds, and all these different things for 7 years, so they can be able to eat something and survive, and they won't have to leave and go to another land to survive for food. And let me see where we at. Oh yeah, verse 48. And he gathered up all the food of the 7. Oh no, verse 49. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he had left numbering, for it was without number. So he'd been gathering so much corn you couldn't even count it. And unto Joseph were born 2 sons before the year of the famine came, in which Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, He hath made me forget all my toil in my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God hath called me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph had said. And the dearth was in the lands, but in all the land of Egypt was their bread. You know what I'm saying? So in the 7 years of famine began to come, but guess what? They still have food in Egypt because they listened to what Joseph said. And like I said earlier, just to touch on who Joseph's sons was, he had Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh is the so-called Colombians today. You understand? Ephraim is the so-called Puerto Ricans. You understand? Verse 55. And when all the land of Egypt was finished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, Go into Egypt, what he said to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold the Egyptians, and the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. You understand? So after that, I'm going to read it again. And when all the land of Egypt was finished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said to all the Egyptians, Go into Joseph. So when this famine started to kick in, you understand, all the people of the land, they started to cry to Pharaoh, like, man, we need some food. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got no food. This famine is serious. And he's like, you know what, go to Joseph. And the people cried unto Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go to Joseph. What he said to you, do. You see, he said, Go to Joseph. Whenever he tell you to do it. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because that the famine was so sore in all the lands. So everybody around the world started coming to Egypt to buy corn from Joseph. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have no food. And when Jacob saw that there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, Why do ye look one upon another? So you got to remember, Jacob is Joseph's father. You know what I'm saying? Joseph was sold into slavery. You understand? He was sold into slavery and by the Arabs to the Egyptians. And like the scripture just said, it was a famine everywhere, all over the whole earth. It was a famine. So guess what? Everybody started coming to Egypt to buy corn from Joseph. You understand? So guess what? Israel, they in a famine too, because they 90 miles away from Jerusalem. They're like, man, you need to go to Egypt and get some food, because we ain't got no food, man. We in a famine. And he said, why do you look one upon another? And he said, Behold, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get you down thither and buy for us from thence, that we may live and not die. And Joseph's 10 brother went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob sent not with his brethren, for he said, lest peradventure mischief befall him. And the son, so Jacob, he said, all y'all go down to Egypt and get some corn, all y'all. Matter of fact, but you stay, Benjamin, because you're the littlest brother. You need to stay. You don't need to go just for something else happen to you. It's like something happened to Joseph. You know what I'm saying? So he made him stay. And the sons of Israel came to buy corn among those that came, for the famine was great in the Slakia, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. And Joseph was the governor over the land. And it was the Slakia. And it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brethren came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. So just like Joseph's dream saying that his brothers was going to bow down to him, that dream ended up coming true. You understand? Because guess what? You got to remember, they don't know what happened to Joseph. For as far as they know, he dead. You understand? Or he a slave somewhere. They don't know what happened to him, but they don't know that he's the governor of Egypt. They don't know that he's like the vice president of Egypt. You understand? All because they want to conspire against him and sell him because of the dreams he was having. They don't know that they're bound down to Joseph right now, like Joseph said was going to happen in his dream when he was a child. You understand? And Joseph was governor over the land. And it was that sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves down before him with their face to the earth. And Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself stranger to them, and spake roguely unto them. And he saw them, and he said unto them, Whence come ye? And they said, From the land of Canaan to buy food. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And so his brothers ended up coming to buy get some food, right? And from Joseph, because Joseph was the one selling everybody food. And when he seen them coming up, he recognized them. You know, so he recognized that those was his siblings, those was his brothers, but they didn't recognize him at all. They didn't recognize that was their little brother. Then he asked them. He said, "Whence come thee?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. And Joseph remembered the dream which he had dreamed of them, and said to them, "Ye are spies to see the nakedness of the land ye are come." So he remembered the dreams that he had, saying that they were going to bow down to him, and he flipped the script on them. He said, "You know what, y'all spies. Y'all just trying to see what the hell going on our land, so y'all can try to come conquer us. You understand? Y'all some spies." And verse 10, and they said unto him, "Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy Salakia, but to buy food are thy servants come." You see, they called him Lord. He said he in his dreams that he had, and he told his brothers, he said, "Y'all gonna call me Lord." And they called him Lord. They said, "No, my Lord, we just came to buy food." You understand? And Salakia, verse 10, and they said unto him, "Nay, my lord, but to buy food are thy servants come. We are all of one man's son. We are true men. Thy servants are no spies." And he said unto them, "Nay, but to see the nakedness of the land ye are come." So he said, "No, man, we ain't no spies, man. We all of us, we brothers. We come from the same man." You understand? And they said, "Thy servants are 12 brothers, the son of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is not." And Joseph said unto him, "That it is that I spake unto you, saying, Ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved by the life of the Pharaoh. Ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come thither. Send one of you, and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved, whether there be many of you, whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies." And he put them all together inward 3 days. So he said, "Man, y'all spies. I don't care about y'all telling me y'all come from one man. Look, this was gonna happen. I'm gonna put all y'all in prison. But one of y'all gonna have to go back to y'all father and bring y'all young brother here. You understand? And if y'all don't do that, nigga, I'm gonna know y'all spies. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be ugly for y'all. It's not gonna be a good situation for y'all, right? And he says, "Send one of you." Verse 17, and he put them all together inward 3 days. And Joseph said unto them the third day. So like it. And Joseph said unto them the third day, This do and live, for I fear God. If ye be true men, let one of your brethren be bound in the house of your prison. Go ye carry corn for the famine of your house, but bring your youngest brother unto me, so shall your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And they said one to another, We are verily guilty concerning our brother, in all that we saw in anguish of his soul when he besought us, and we would not hear. Therefore, therefore it is this distress come upon us. And Reuben answered and said, saying, Spake I not unto you, saying, Do not sin against the child, and ye would not hear. Therefore, behold, all this blood is required. So now they start remembering that they conspired against Joseph to kill him, you know what I'm saying, and to sell him into slavery. So they arguing with each other like, man, I told you not to do this. Man, I told you not to do it. We should have never did this. Now because we did this to our brother, our blood is required, meaning that we have to die for what we did to our brother. Man, we should have never did that. Now, only because they think they're getting judgment for this, for what they did to their brother. Now they having remorse for it. And he returned about, and they knew not that Joseph understood. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And he turned himself about from them and wept. And he returned to them again and communed with them, and took from them Simon and bound him before their eyes. So they didn't even know that Joseph could understand them, because he was speaking with an interpreter. But they didn't know that this was Joseph, that this was their brother, and he speak the same language that they speak. You understand? Then Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn and to restore every man's journey. And then also he started crying because he was like, man, he's really my brothers. That's crazy. You understand? And to give them provision for their way. And thus did he unto them. And they ladded their asses with the corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in an inn, he espied his money, for behold, it was in his sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, My money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, What is this that God hath done unto us? That they came unto Jacob their father into the land of Canaan, and told him all that befell unto them, saying, The man who is of the Lord of the land spake roughly to us, and took us for spies and of the country. And and we said unto him, We are true men, we are not spies. We be 12 brethren, sons of our father, and one is not, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan. And the man, the Lord of the country, said unto us, Hereby shall I know that ye are true men. Leave one of your brethren here with me, and take food for the famine of your households, and be gone. So they started telling their brother what happened. It was like, man, there's some dude over a lord over Egypt. He think we spies. So he kept Simeon, and he told us to bring all this food back here and to bring our little brother. So he can know we're not spies, because if we don't, he gonna kill us. And bring your let me see where was that. And Jacob their father said unto them, Me have ye bereaved of my children. Joseph is not, and Simeon is not, and ye will take Benjamin away. All these things are against me. But Reuben spake unto his father, saying, Slay my 2 sons, if I bring him not to thee. Deliver him into my hand, and I will bring him to thee again. And he said, My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If mischief befall him by the way in which ye go, then shall ye bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. He was like, nah, I don't care who said it. Benjamin not going with y'all. He not going with y'all back there. You know what I'm saying? Last time one of my sons left with y'all, he died. You know what I'm saying? He's not going there with y'all. It's because guess what? If something happened to him, man, I'm gonna be stressed out my whole life, all of my old age, and I'm gonna die real soon. You understand? Chapter 43. And the famine was sore in the land. And it came to pass when they had eaten up the corn which they had brought out of Egypt, their father said unto them, go again, buy us a little food. And Judah spake unto him, saying, the man did solemnly protest us, saying, ye shall not see my face, except your brothers be with you. If thou wilt send our brother with us, we will go down and buy thee food. So they ended up running out of food. Their father said, no, it ain't happening. My son ain't going with y'all. So you might as well don't even ask me no more. You understand? We got food right now. Let's just worry about right now. You know what I'm saying? Simeon go be all right. So then after they ran out the food, he was like, man, y'all need to go back to Egypt and get some more food because we ran out of food. You understand? And the brothers told their dad, hold on, dad. We already told y'all. We already told you that the Lord of Egypt said if we don't bring Benjamin with us, then we ain't gonna see his face. We should not come there. We ain't got Benjamin with us because he gonna think that we slaves. He gonna think we spies. Right? So I'm gonna keep reading. And Judah spake to him, saying, the man did solemnly. Okay, I read that part. Verse 5. But if thou wilt not send him, we will not go down. For the man said unto us, ye shall not see my face, except your brothers be with you. And Israel said, wherefore dwelt ye so ill with me, as to tell the man whether ye had yet a brother? He said, why y'all deal so ill with me? Why would you tell that man y'all got another brother? If he went with y'all, why would y'all tell that man y'all got another brother, man? That is ridiculous. And they said, the man asked us straightly of our state and of our kindred, saying, is your father yet alive? Have ye any brother? And we told him according to the tenor of these words. Could we certainly know that he would say, bring your brother down? So he said, man, the dude came out straight up and asked us, man, do we got any siblings? Do we got a father, a brother, and all that? How was we supposed to know about saying we got a brother that he was going to want us to bring our brother or think that we were spies? Man, we didn't know that was going to happen. It ain't known us. That's what they trying to say. Okay, verse 8. And Judah said unto Israel his father, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and thou also, and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand shalt thou require him. If I bring him not unto thee and set him before thee, then let me bear the blame forever. For except we have lingered, surely now we have returned this second time. And their father Israel said unto them, if it must be so now, do this, take of the best fruits in the land in your vessels, and carry down the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds, and take double money in your hand, and the money that was brought again in the mouth of the sacks, carried again in your hand, pre-adventure, it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise and go again into them. So he said, man, when you go down there, go ahead, take your brother. Make sure y'all bring this Lord of Egypt presents, you know what I'm saying, and all that. Make sure y'all do everything to bring y'all my son back. And God Almighty give him mercy before the man, that he may send away your other brothers in Benjamin. If I be bereaved of my children, I am bereaved. He said, man, so if I got to do what I got to do, man, or I'm going to go home. You understand? So I'm going to go down. We just do what y'all got to do and take our brother. And the men took that present, and they took double money in their hand. And Benjamin and rose up and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. And when Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said unto the ruler of the house, bring these men home and slay and make ready, for these men shall dine with me at noon. And the man did as Joseph bade, and the man brought the men into Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought into Joseph's house, and they said, because of the money that was returned in our sacks at the first time are we brought in, that we may seek occasion against us and fall upon us and take our bondmen and our asses. So they said, because we came back with this money that they gave us, they think we stole it. That's why they bring it in this house, because they finna kill us in this house. And they're going to take their money and take our bondmen. And they came near to the steward of Joseph's house, and they communed with him at the door of the house, and said, "O sir, we came indeed down at the first time to buy food. And it came to pass when we came to the end, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack. Our money is full weight, and we have brought it again to in your hand. And other money have we brought down in our hand to buy food. We cannot tell who put the money in our sacks." So he said, the money that y'all gave us, we got it. You know what I'm saying? Or whoever gave us this money, we got it. We giving it back to y'all. And we also giving y'all more money for food, because we need more food because it's famine. You understand? Okay, verse 23. And he said, "Peace be to you. Fear not. Your God and the God of your fathers have given you treasure in your sacks. I have your money." And he brought Simeon unto them. And the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave them asses, provender. And they made ready the present against Joseph. The present against Joseph came at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. And when Joseph came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed themselves to him to the earth. And he asked them of their welfare, and said, Is your father well, the old man whom ye spake? Is he yet alive? And they answered, Thy servant our father is in good health, he is yet alive. And they bowed down their heads and made an obeisance. So he told them, man, y'all good. Y'all finna eat and drink. And here's some water to wash y'all feet. You know what I'm saying? Well, what's up with y'all father, though? Is your father still alive? You understand? They was like, your father's still alive. He doing good. All right. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, Is this your younger brother whom ye spake unto? And he said, God be gracious unto thee, my son. And Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn unto his brothers, and he sought where to weep. And he entered into the chamber, and he wept there. And he washed his face and went out, and refrained him, said, Set on bread. So after Joseph seen the youngest brother, he had to excuse himself because he was so emotional. He was like, "Damn, man, I've been going for hella years. Look at my brothers. Look at my little brother." You know what I'm saying? Oh, man, I hope this mom don't die. Okay, so yeah, man. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of this class next Monday. Make sure y'all tune in. This is how the Israel became slaves in Egypt. So we already covered half the story today. Next Monday we'll cover the other half. You know what I'm saying? Just for time's sake. And this laptop look like it's gonna die. So like and subscribe to ISUBK Sacramento. You know what I'm saying? Like and share. Tune in to ISUBK Oakland as well. And as well, we're gonna be breaking ground in Sacramento this upcoming weekend. So make sure y'all tune in, man. Also, we got Passover coming up April 24th. Make sure y'all get y'all plane tickets right. It's $200 for anybody over the age of 18. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all tap in and y'all celebrate the Lord's 52nd annual Passover. You understand? With that being said, make sure y'all tune in tomorrow, Tuesday Brotherhood class with me and Officer Shia Ward. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, y'all, Bashim, Shabbat, all the brothers. Y'all, Shamal, Tabashim, y'all, shout out all the sisters. With that being said, we going to end the class as real. Shalom.